Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about Daredevil on Netflix. I just watched the entire first season and it is amazing. The lighting is fantastic, the atmosphere is amazing. I would go so far as to say this is better than Constantine, better than Arrow, Flash, Agents of Shield. It's cinematic quality. It's really fantastic. The art, the not the art, the fight scenes are fluid and dynamic and nice and long, and they're kung fu like, not just kind of boxer brawling. Really great. I recommend that you check this out. If you're not checking this out, I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm going to go through each character now. Charlie Cox plays Daredevil. The first thing I thought when I saw this, as a premise, was that they're going to have a hard time with a sighted actor not focusing on things with his eyes. That wasn't a problem at all. Charlie Cox was great. He was able to really play off that he was blind. I mean, he was able to convince me. Sometimes I was sitting there and I was looking, and I was like, is he focusing on something with his eyes? And he wasn't. He never was. So tip of the hat to Charlie Cox on that. That I thought that'd be much more difficult than it was. He is very intelligent. I was a little worried that they were just going to have Foggy as his idiot friend, from the first episode. They did that a little bit in the first episode. They grow out of that in the show. I liked how Matt Murdock was kind of a quiet guy, kind of focused in his own head all the time. He had a wall up, which I think really makes a lot of sense. That this kind of character would have to have a wall up, and you really got that sense when you were watching it. We have Deborah Ann Wall from True Blood fame playing Karen Page. Now she's playing their secretary and their first client as lawyers. First of all, I had not seen her as a blonde previously. She was a redhead in True Blood. She is a magnificent blonde. Well, she's just gorgeous in general, but wow. Now she's also a wonderful actor. Very convincing, very emotional. I was always worried when she was in danger. I was always smiling when she was smiling. Just kind of a contagion of whatever she's feeling, I feel, which I think is the purpose of acting. I really thought that her relationship with Foggy. Now, I don't know that much about Daredevil, I'll admit that right away, because I did some research and I found that she's always been the love interest of Foggy, but I thought that she was going to be Daredevil's love interest. That would be the obvious pairing. And I was pleasantly surprised to find that she was Foggy's love interest because it's just so unusual for this kind of super beautiful woman to be attached to the not so beautiful man. I guess in TV they do that more, but in movies it's definitely the hero and the heroine are together, and then he has a idiot friend that makes him look smart by comparison. That was a pleasant surprise. Deborah Ann Wall has she has this plot line where she's trying to find out what's behind the people who killed her, and it's very good. I could see a lot of people saying that the main female character of this show is a secretary, but she's not just a secretary. People complaining about that. She's an intelligent, passionate woman who has this whole other motivations and plot lines and interests going on that I found to be very interesting. How she was trying to find out what was going on with this company and everything. It was very well done. She wasn't incredibly competent, just passionate and relentless. At one point, she gets kidnapped by Wesley, and she shoots him. Her emotional fallout was a little bit stereotypic, but I think appropriate. She plays it well where you can always kind of tell after that event there's something bothering her, but it's not too obvious. It's like she's trying to hide it, and it's not too little, like she just kind of forgets it's there sometimes. And I think that's really amazing that she's able to act as if she is someone trying to hide something. She is a tremendous actress. We're going to see a lot of her in the future. Next up, we have Foggy, played by Eldon Henson. This guy is pretty funny. He's a lot of comic relief. As I said before, I thought that he was going to be the idiot friend of Matt Murdock, and in a way, he is. But that's not all he is. He's the go-getter. He does a lot of the work in the law firm that Matt Murdock is busy, daredeviling it up. Foggy finds out that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. He is really upset that he didn't know this about his friend. Which usually the idiot friend would just be like, "Awesome, tubular, dude." Just imagine Keanu Reeves finding out his friend. Keanu Reeves and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure finding out that his buddy is a superhero, and Foggy is legitimately hurt, but he's also legitimately loyal, and he comes back. The relationship between Foggy and Karen Page is interesting. They don't really have a relationship, but they do have a single date which was set up by this old woman they were trying to help. And I'm not sure why Foggy doesn't pursue that more. I mean, that would be my move. Instead, he pursues his ex girlfriend for booty calls, which again she's attractive. Just it's kind of the supermodel effect where you put Deborah Ann Wall next to anyone, and they look less attractive by comparison. She can make Rosario Dawson look unattractive, who is next on here. Um, Rosario Dawson plays Claire Temple, the concerned nurse who takes care of the superhero. It feels like this is a cliche, but I can't remember any examples of it, which is kind of a funny thing when you think about it, because it feels so obvious. Maybe they just discovered something fundamental that was missing in the superhero lore, that these guys are getting hurt terribly badly, and they need a doctor to patch them up. She plays this wonderfully. She's always kind of flirting with Daredevil, and Matt Murdock is pushing her away. He's concerned for her safety. Of course, she's concerned with the D, but maybe I should delete that. But she really does a fantastic job of being kind of interested with him without falling, throwing herself at him, which is kind of dropping hints. It's a much more subtle type of acting, which I could see more realistically women doing. Kind of saying, hey, you should pursue me, instead of just outright pursuing the man. She is able to act competently as the nurse. There's no time when you're just like, you're just making things up, like some kind of daytime hospital drama. She's very competent. She looks good when she's doing the stitches, and you worry about her. You worry about her. She has bad people coming after her. She gets kidnapped at one point and beaten. This TV show. There are no negatives to this TV show. Next up, we have Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin. The first thing I want to say about the Kingpin, earlier in the episode before they introduce him, they say that this one guy is a shark in a skin suit. That is the Kingpin. He is this rock tumbler of anger and hatred, just barely fitting into this suit. That isn't a fat joke. They make a lot of fat jokes in this show, but he barely fits in it. It's like he's swirling metal under the skin. He's always kind of twitching and barely keeping his anger in check. And I really love that. I didn't want him to be Lex Luthor. I didn't want him to be the far reaching genius. He needs to be a thing that drug himself out of the muck and put on the suit, that put on civility and elegance, and he wears that like cologne, but it's not what he smells like underneath. Now, the other thing that really jumps out at me about the Kingpin in this series, in the Western literature tradition, you explain to the audience who is the good guy and who is the bad guy by how they treat women. Think about this. Anytime you're watching an action movie or a drama, if you want to show who the bad guy is, you show him treating women badly. And that is flipped on its head here. He treats Vanessa as his goddess. I was immediately enthralled by this. At no point is he beating her or something, or just they he has this some kind of complex with her. I don't know what it is. It's not a Madonna whore complex or something like that. Kind of maybe an angel demon complex where she's the angel and everyone else is a demon, but he worships her and he needs her. And again, that's just an incredibly original premise. In other shows, they would have somewhere that he would start beating her, attacking her, hurting her in some way. That doesn't happen. It never happens. And I'm so thankful for that. It's just good. It's original. It's fresh. Ayelet Zier as Vanessa Mariana. She's the love interest of the Kingpin. She does a fantastic job. You can kind of see how she's attracted to his power. She's confused by it. She's afraid of it, but she's attracted to it. She wants this. She wants an interesting life. She wants him. She doesn't want to be one of the people. She wants to look down on the people from the shoulder of the Kingpin. And you can see her slowly getting seduced by this idea. If she would have known who he was at the beginning, I don't think she would be with him. And that isn't to say that she's a good person, because a good person wouldn't be with the Kingpin at all. But I think she's afraid, she's very fearful, and he makes her feel safe. And if she had the fear response at the beginning, she would have run away, but instead she has a safety response to him. And I think that really comes through. At the end of the show, the Kingpin promises her that they were going to be together always, and the Kingpin would come for her. Like, he's being arrested, and he's like, I promise I'll come. And it's actually an incredible sequence. So he's in this convoy, like an FBI convoy. There's two semis, and the semis stop. Guys come out, start shooting all the police, just machine guns firing. And then the one of his guards, who stuck up for him when the other guard told him not to speak, shoots the guard who told him not to speak. Sorry, that was my phone. The Kingpin just escaped from FBI custody. I mean, really incredible. The Daredevil gets him back, but he's promising Vanessa that he will be with Vanessa. Vanessa is just crushed when he won't come, and she puts on his ring that she's married him, that she is now Mrs. Fisk. A really powerful sequence. Great action followed by a very emotional ending. And you kind of feel for her. You feel for him as well. She made his life bearable. Next up, we have Bob Gunton, who plays Leyland. This guy is kind of a goofy little snake. He's the money man for this cartel that they've set up. He shuffles all the cards and rearranges them. They do an interesting job of making him interesting because that premise is not usually run with very often in terms of the accountant being interesting. He says that he reads the money like tea leaves, and you can see him doing this often at the show. They don't really have him as a physical threat in any way, although he does manage to tase both Daredevil and Kingpin, which I thought would be pretty funny. Just very amusing. He also turns out in the end to have a rather large number of bodyguards and to be very devious. Before he seemed to be pretty straightforward. Good acting, kind of pokes fun at the whole really tough guy image. But very devious. Next up, we have Toby Leonard Moore as Wesley. I wish we got to know Wesley more before Karen Page killed him. Wesley was this very polished, very refined, elegant. In a way, he was one of the demons on the Kingpin's shoulders. He was almost like his, I don't want to say his conscience, his dark logic, like an evil Spock on his shoulder. And I wanted to know, and in many ways he mirrored what the Kingpin wished to be, that the veneer of civility. And I want to know why he was so loyal to the Kingpin. That's what I didn't get closure on. What was the interaction? How did they meet? Why was he unconditionally loyal to him? And why was the Kingpin unconditionally loyal to him? I hope they explore this more. He's he makes a great serpent in the Garden of Eden. At one point, he goes and sees Foggy and Matt Murdock, and he offers them a bunch of money to be on retainer for the Kingpin's company, and they take it. But he never gives his name. It's one of these details that Matt picks up on, Foggy doesn't. It's something that somebody like this you could picture them not doing that they don't give out their name. That anonymity is their primary weapon. We have Vonnie Curtis Hall as Ben Urich. I was shocked that he was killed in this. I was really shocked that he was killed. He really plays such a fantastic job. This burned out reporter who knows he shouldn't be doing this. He knows he should not be investigating, but he does it anyway because it's the right thing to do, which I find to be very compelling. It was very interesting watching this back and forth in his own head. It was very shocking that he died because he's a named character of the Marvel Universe that keeps going. He's like the Lois Lane or Vicky Vale of Marvel. And so it was very shocking when he died. And that concludes this review of Daredevil. This is really the most perfect superhero show I've ever seen. That's the best way to describe this. Please have a look at it. They deserve your attention. Please have a look at my Patreon that I will include in the ending of this video. And let me know if you want me to do an episode by episode breakdown of this. I decided to just go with the whole season 1, but I could do an episode by episode if you guys wanted me to. Alright, thank you very much and have a great day. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and check out my other projects. Thank you.